Telescope's first full-color images, which are expected to be light-years more impressive than the test images released last month, and will include the deepest image of our universe that's ever been taken.
James Webb didn't just see farther into space. It may have just broken reality. Out in the frozen void beyond the moon, parked in the eerie stillness of the L2 Lagrange point, NASA's most powerful space observatory, James Webb, just captured something impossible. Not a galaxy, not a supernova, not even a black hole, but a signal, a structure, a whisper from the edge of time itself. Webb's ultra-sensitive infrared eyes have pierced a veil of cosmic dust no telescope has ever breached, and what it saw there has left the scientific world shaken. Because this isn't just a discovery, it's a challenge to everything we thought we understood about space, time, and even what it means to be alone in the universe. At first, it was dismissed, a glitch, background noise, a fluke. But as Webb scanned the same patch of ancient sky again and again, something began to emerge. A pattern, a signal, too perfect to be random, too consistent to be natural, and far too old to make sense. And here's the part that's really bending minds. This signal is coming from a time when the universe was still in cosmic darkness. No stars, no galaxies, just chaos, silence. So how exactly is this thing not only there, but organized? That's what scientists are scrambling to answer. And the more they look, the more the universe starts to look like a message in a bottle, one that's traveled 13.5 billion years just to reach us. Before we dive headfirst into this anomaly that defies time, physics, and logic itself, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Intergalactic Frontier, and hit that bell, because what we're about to reveal changes everything. At first, the data looked like static, just another smear of cosmic noise in Webb's deep field scan. Nothing to see, nothing to worry about. But then, it came back, again and again. Each time Webb passed over that same remote corner of the cosmos, buried behind a curtain of cold interstellar dust, it registered something strange. Not a flicker, not a burst, a pulse. Precise, timed, rhythmic. And that's when everything changed. This wasn't some dying star or rogue planet. It wasn't gravitational lensing or some clever trick of infrared interference. No, this thing was structured, consistent, organized. The signal had a pattern, an energy signature that repeated itself, and not in a chaotic cosmic way, but with mathematical perfection. It wasn't broadcasting randomly, it was broadcasting deliberately. More shocking still, the light from this object began its journey over 13.5 billion years ago, when the universe was just 200 million years old. That's before galaxies, before stars, before the cosmic fog of the early universe had even cleared. This signal was ancient, too ancient, and yet here it was, emitting perfectly structured bursts of light across multiple frequency bands, not just passive radiation, but something far more active, something compensating. You see, light from that far away should be stretched by the expansion of the universe, redshifted into oblivion. But this light, it didn't fade, it adjusted, it didn't scatter, it aligned, like it wanted to be seen. That's when scientists stopped thinking of it as an object and started calling it an event, because this wasn't just old, it was aware, or at least it was behaving like it was. And the deeper researchers dove into the data, the stranger it became. This wasn't a flicker of light from a collapsing star. It wasn't a rotating pulsar. It wasn't background microwave noise. It was organized, measured, intentional. And then came the shockwave. This thing was massive, spanning nearly 300,000 light years, 3 times the size of the Milky Way. But here's the part that sends shivers down every spine at NASA. It was pulsing in unison, across its entire scale, as one. That kind of synchronization simply should not exist at this size, unless it was built, or something else built it. So scientists turned to the data that could tell them the most: spectral analysis. Webb doesn't just see light, it reads it. Like cosmic fingerprints. Each wavelength reveals what an object is made of, how fast it's moving, and how far it's traveled. But this time, the fingerprints didn't match anything in the system. No hydrogen cloud, no black hole, no galactic cluster. Instead, the signal revealed something unprecedented. Normally, light from 13 billion years ago is so redshifted, stretched by the expansion of space, that it fades into near nothingness. But this light broke the rules. It didn't just redshift, It fluctuated. In clean, repeated intervals, it jumped across multiple frequency bands into areas of the spectrum where no ancient object should be emitting anything. It was like a strobe of light synced to the beat of physics itself. And here's the part that triggered alarm bells in every lab around the world. The signal seemed to be correcting for redshift, as if it understood how space was stretching, as if it wanted to remain visible, no matter how far away it was. It wasn't just broadcasting into the void, it was broadcasting through it. That's not just unnatural, that's impossible. And the more they studied the signal, the clearer it became. This wasn't just energy, it was formation, encoded in pattern, pulsing in rhythm, so precise some researchers compared it to music. A cosmic metronome, ticking through space-time with surgical consistency. Then came the gravity data. Now, Webb doesn't measure gravity directly, but it can detect its influence through gravitational lensing. That's when the mass of an object bends the light around it, distorting the stars behind it like a funhouse mirror. And what they saw around this object was wrong. The light wasn't just bending, it was warping violently, far more than it should have, even if the entire object was made of dark matter. Its gravitational pull didn't match its visible mass, which left scientists with only two options, both terrifying. One, there's something colossal we can't see, cloaked from all known instruments. Or two, this thing is using physics we don't understand, theoretical stuff like exotic matter, negative mass, or even controlled dark energy. Ideas once confined to equations in sci-fi, now possibly real. And that's when the simulations failed. Every model of the early universe broke down trying to explain this thing. None of them could replicate it. None of them could even come close. It didn't fit our understanding of cosmic evolution. It didn't fit anywhere, which left scientists staring at the only conclusion they couldn't explain, but couldn't ignore. This object was never supposed to exist, and yet there it is. By now, the scientific community has split in two. Some believe they were seeing a new, undiscovered class of cosmic object, something born from the raw chaos of the Big Bang, a freak of nature, the structured energy lattice, the spontaneous, self-organizing system of mass and light. But others, they weren't so sure, because the deeper they analyzed the signal, the more it resembled something deliberate. It wasn't just a pulse, it had ratios, frequencies, and harmonics. Some of the most respected researchers began to describe it as mathematical resonance, patterns that echoed the fundamental constants of the universe itself. Not noise, but order. Not a collapse, but a design. It started to look less like a random object and more like a message. Not in language, not in symbols, but in structure. The kind of cosmic calling card that doesn't explain, it simply announces, "We were here, you're not alone." And then came the whispers, the ones no one wanted to say out loud. Could this be artificial? Could we be staring into the edge of the observable universe and seeing the distant remains of a Dyson-like megastructure? The civilization-scale construct, a technological object built, not around a star, but woven through space itself. Not for communication, not for travel, but for power. Something built to collect, harness, or maybe even generate energy on a galactic scale. And if that's true, this wouldn't just be an impressive feat of engineering, it would be a declaration, a signature of a Type 3 civilization, one that doesn't just master planets or stars, but galaxies. A civilization that learned how to reshape space-time itself, and may have done so before Earth ever formed. But what really kept scientists awake at night wasn't just the light, or the size, or even the structure, it was the gravity. Because whatever this object is, it's bending the universe more than it should. Either we're missing something massive, or it's operating on rules we don't yet understand. Some now believe we may be seeing evidence of theoretical materials like negative mass or dark energy scaffolding, concepts that until now lived only in blackboard math. But if this thing is using those concepts in reality, it changes everything. Not just how we see the universe, but how we define possible. At that moment, the question shifted. It was no longer does it exist, it was what is it? Is it some freak of physics, a natural miracle, a leftover artifact from a time before galaxies? Or is it something older, wiser, more advanced, something that's been waiting? The more scientists study this anomaly, the more one terrifying possibility refuses to go away. What if this structure wasn't meant to be found until now? Because so far, only James Webb has seen it clearly. Not Hubble, not any ground-based telescope, only Webb. Infrared, deep space optimized, perfectly calibrated. Almost like the signal was waiting, not just for any eyes, but for ours. And that raises a question nobody wants to ask. What if this isn't just a discovery? What if it's a taste? What if this structure was never designed to speak to us until we built the only machine capable of hearing it? A machine that didn't exist until now. Think about that. This isn't a radio wave, not a burst, not a flash. It's quiet, precise, patient. The whisper timed across 13.5 billion years, aimed at one civilization, at one moment, when the technology finally became good enough to notice. And maybe that's the message. When you are ready to see it, you will. And maybe now we are, because whatever this anomaly is, natural or not, its implications are the same. If it's natural, it means the universe is far more organized, intelligent, and capable of complexity than we ever imagined. It means that even in the earliest moments of time, structure emerged. Not by accident, but as a rule. But if it's not natural, if even a fraction of it was built, then we're looking at something far older than stars, far bigger than galaxies, and far more intelligent than we've ever dared to imagine. A presence that spans time, a design that lasts, not because it wants to dominate, not because it wants to be found, but simply because it can. Because that's what civilizations do when they transcend. They don't broadcast in panic, they don't send signals in bottles, they leave behind patterns, breadcrumbs, structures that only make sense when we're advanced enough to see them. And when we do, everything changes. So what are we really seeing out there? A message, a monument, a warning, or something else entirely? Whatever it is, one thing's now certain. We're no longer just observers of the cosmos, we're participants. So what do you think this anomaly really is? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Is it a natural marvel, or the first undeniable sign of something more? And if you found this discovery as mind-bending as we did, hit that like button, subscribe to Intergalactic Frontier, and turn on notifications, because this story is just the beginning. We'll see you in the next one.